NASCAR race here at the Goodyear Thunderdome. And of course, because qualifying was rained out this morning, we are starting this particular race off with the championship point standings following the first two rounds. Running off the front row of the grid, we have got Kim Jane in the 27 Bob Jane Team Mart Goodyear Repco sponsored Chev Monte Carlo. Alongside him is Terry Wyhoon, the BP Car Care car. Off the second row of the grid, we should have Russell Ingall in the 34 Vision Car Alarm car, but he will be starting from the back of the field after an accident during practice just before racing was about due to get underway. In position number 4 on the second row of the grid there is Marshall Brewer.
And starting out of position number 5 on the third row, Neville Lance in the 14 Ford T-Bird along
10 laps, and the pedal is about to go down on the NASCAR 700 horsepower underneath each driver's foot, and Kim Jane takes off at the green flag. Wyhoon sitting right on his tail with the BP Car Care 25 Ford Thunderbird.
And Chevrolet takes the point. It's the T-Bird there in second place of Wanless, but he gets a really strong exit out of turn number 2. And the BP Car Care, if you're looking for a way through, right behind them is Neville Lance. So T-Birds at the moment second and third, trying to get on terms with the flying number 27 Chev Monte Carlo of our race leader and defending two-time NASCAR Australian champion Kim Jane.
Well, Jane's looking very good so far, leading the points after the first 2 rounds or 3 rounds to take out the championship, and would be, in doing so, the first person to ever win 3 NASCAR championships in Australia. Joining us in commentary this weekend for the Bob Jane Telecommunications Vodafone NASCAR 90, it is Oscar runner Nathan Preddy. And Nathan, this is going to be a great race. Obviously, Kim Jane wants to hold that advantage.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's still obviously stamping his authority on the class, and it looks as though Neville there is slotted into second and doing quite well. His car's slotted nice, and Terry's, I guess, just sitting back in third there because it's a long race.
Now, there is a compulsory pit stop in this actual race, or 2 compulsory pit stops that will be held on under a green flag, and they are between laps 25 and 35 and laps 60 and 70. Role in the success that you can experience at the Thunderdome.
Yeah, it certainly does. In that first pit stop, when they take fuel, I guess a few of them will obviously probably take tyres, and that second one will be the main one, and most of them might, I guess if it's a green stop, they'll probably take just the 2 tyres and bring it home from there.
Terry Wyhoon just going under the inside of Neville Lance again that time around, and Kim Jane currently holds the lead. There is the 27 car. So the 25 now just ducks out ahead of the 14, and Marshall Brewer in the Pennzoil Monte Carlo is currently in 4th spot, getting very, very, very close to the wall that time.
Wyhoon, he's got the momentum on our race leader Kim Jane. They cross the line, and look at Lance trying to split them. He was getting very, very brave there. No way through there. Nathan, what was he thinking?
Don't know. I mean, you get those sort of adrenaline rushes and you just want to go for it, don't you?
Well, Wyhoon has gone through to take the lead. All of a sudden, Kim Jane's 27 car is dropping back a little bit. Maybe he's just wanted to take a breath. And Russell Ingall is in the pit lane, the 34 Vision Car Alarm car. We've been told by his team that following his accident this afternoon, just prior to racing, he has just done the 1 lap just to get the points and the money.
Yes, a big hit to both ends of the car as we've had another change of lead. Lance has gone underneath the Australian-built T-Bird of Terry Wyhoon, so he takes over the lead. And look at Marshall J. Brewer. He's come up from 4th place to put the hurt onto Kim Jane, and Jane is fighting back on the outside line. The 2 Chev Monte Carlos going at it almost door-to-door. There's no doors, of course. They've got to crawl in through the windows. And looks like Marshall's going to make that stick, and the Pennzoil machine takes over 3rd position.
Just down there to Russell, it looks as though Russell in those first few laps had something broken in the rear end. Looks like a broken shock absorber or something like that. So I guess they're working on the car now to get him back out there and get some more points.
Yes, an unusual accident for Ingall. Actually,
Car Care Ford Thunderbird, and the Pennzoil car of Marshall Brewer has gone back to 2nd spot. We're 24 laps in, or 24 and a bit laps in. Don't forget, lap 25 to 35, these NASCARs must make a compulsory pit stop on a green.
And Nathan Pretty, that's an interesting part of the strategy about a part of as far as this race is concerned, because you face the same thing in your Oscar category. What's the thinking between taking an early stop or taking a late stop?
Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to how the car's actually handling and things like that. As you see, Eddie Abelnica come into the pits for some repairs, but I guess, yeah, as I said, it'll be really come down to how the car's actually handling in these colder conditions, whether they want to make a couple of sway bar adjustments or actual...
That means he is coming down onto the pit lane. So the BP Car Care 25 Thunderbird heads down there. Waihoon is going to take advantage right now on lap number 26. When he crosses start-finish line, he'll complete at 27. He's going to take the fuel on board this time around. Takes a very, very limited amount of fuel and charges out less than 3 seconds. Well, Nathan, has the BP Car Care team worked the tactics to an advantage? Was there a specification as to how much fuel they had to put in?
Yeah, there was, and I guess Terry's taken on the minimum amount, and it's a very smart move. As you see them starting to come in very fast now. Marshall's pulled in now as well, and as with Daryl Coon.
Well, it appears as though basically an eye drop problems. He can't get that started, and the team's starting to push it off. And Marshall Brewer got a lot of front panel damage there. That was interesting. Marshall Brewer's car actually had some broken panel work at the front. We'll see on the Pennzoil number 8 car. Maybe just a rub there with some other competitor, Nathan, but
yeah.
That could affect the aerodynamics.
Yeah, it could a little bit. Maybe on an American super speedway, not so much on our speedway here. As you see, Terry pulling away. Look, Marshall come in the next lap behind him, and the distance now between Marshall and Terry is quite significant. So,
yes, but the good thing is for Terry Waihoon that
into the pit lane at the moment, the 27 Bob Jane T-Mart car. John Sidney, the head of this team, knows the rules inside out and back to front. Let's see how much fuel they actually use. Here comes the churn. It goes in. They're making an adjustment to the car as well. They're putting in a fair bit of fuel. So this is going to be a long stop. And maybe the BP Car Care team have worked this to perfection, because a lot of changes going on there to Kim James Chev Monte Carlo.
And away he goes after about a 14-second stop. And Waihoon has well and truly gone through. So Lance now leads. Kim James being shown on our timing computer in second place, but he will not hold that position as Lance is in car number 14.
Again, let's have a look and see how long it takes. That's how much fuel Terry Waihoon put in. These guys are taking a fair bit longer. They're filling it up and being told to go. Neville Lance obviously had a little problem starting the car there. 11 seconds. The King Coil Auto Pro car is out.
And that was a good stop. Here comes Rod Jane in the fast phone, car number 3. And the Jane crew down there working pretty hard, getting that fuel in there. There's about how much worth? Probably 15 or 20 litres. And 8 seconds, and almost a collision between Jane and one of the other cars.
Jimmy Ellis, the 02 car. That's the DMC Pretty People's car. GMB Galvanising. He nearly had a bit of a coming together with Rodney Jane. And the crew working on this particular car, most of them have never worked on a NASCAR before. And this is their first ever pit stop. And Ken James' crew also helping out there. So a good stop for Jimmy Ellis in the GB Galvanising service car. There's our one of our leaders, Terry Waihoon.
Well, he's actually just taken back the race lead. Alice was shown.
It's in NASCAR racing, and I think they've worked it out pretty well.
Absolutely. Terry's very good at that, and as you can see quite clearly on the track, the distance he's got over Marshall in second there. He's taken the minimum amount of fuel on he's supposed to, and obviously just stopped enough time to take it on and kept going there when they were still putting the fuel in, which is quite legal to do. So, very good.
Bob Middleton comes in, and the White Line Transport team heading over the pit lane wall, and we're told that Middleton, in fact, has done 36 laps and missed the window to come on into the pits.
There'll obviously be some sort of penalty in the rule book about that.
There is Terry Byers' car, and it is leaking at the rear end. So problems there for Terry Byers. Nathan, where would that have been coming out of? The tank?
Yeah, it could be coming out of either the tank or obviously it's had a major diff failure, which could be quite possible as well.
Well, let's go through the top 5 here at the Goodyear Thunderdome in the NASCAR 90 race. Terry Waihoon currently leads ahead of Marshall Brewer. Neville Lance and making the change of tyres now. They have to come in between laps 60 and 70 as well for a compulsory stop.
Yes, we're only on lap 46 at the moment, so this is not Jane's compulsory stop, nor is it the compulsory stop for the man in screen, Gene Cook. So obviously the two crews involved there have thought to themselves, there is an advantage to be gained here. We're not right at the sharp end of the field at the moment, but that might come back to haunt them because they've only got green, and Waihoon scoots away. Right behind him is Marshall J. Brewer, and now Jane finds himself half a lap behind. So that, I wonder about that call from the JSR crew. They're one of the best teams in the business, but that was a risk.
Well, that's an interesting one. And Nathan Preddy, they took on 4 tyres. It appeared as though they took 4 tyres on. Obviously, Kim Jane. In fact, Jimmy Ellis at the moment isn't working other than working on the race car. So they're doing it fairly tough, but currently sitting in 4th spot. They're obviously set that car up exceptionally well. Yeah, he looks to be running very strong, so which is great to see because he's a very good campaigner and he's been over here for a while now from the States. So, and as I know, you do it tough working on the cars like 7 to 6 days a week and things like that without doing anything else. It's pretty hard. The 02 car has been totally rebuilt since the last meeting here at the Goodyear Thunderdome. The shape of it is a Chevrolet Lumina, which is the superseded model.
Now, Waihoon has now got a big fight on his hands because right behind him, Marshall J. Brewer in the Pennzoil-sponsored Chev Monte Carlo, but there's the battle that's going on behind them for 3rd and 4th. And look at the change. There could be a positional change here as Brewer takes the inside line going into turn number 1, and he takes over the lead. And look at the battle going on behind them. Elliott and Ellis are actually catching this battle. So pretty soon we could have 4 cars going for the lead.
Well, there's a couple of ways that a 2-car freight train, if you want to call that, or drafting can work. Either you can race each other and actually pull time off your performances, or you can probably do it smart, Nathan, and sit one in behind the other and try and break away and work with each other and then get the last few laps and then start to really race between yourselves. Yeah, most of the marques in the US will do that with Chevrolet and Ford running against each other. They'll actually help each other out from different teams and run, you know, behind each other and slipstream each other, and they can, as you said, exactly, they can pull away from the others. Well, we've got a great battle on our hands here at the Goodyear Thunderdome. Marshall Brewer currently leads in the Pennzoil Chev ahead of Terry Waihoon, George Elliott, Jimmy Ellis and Kim Jane.
They're about to have another change of lead. Waihoon takes the inside line, and look at Ellis trying to take 2nd away from Marshall Brewer.
Elliott's dropped off a little bit there, and we're getting close to our pit window. In fact, we're on lap 60, so all of a sudden that 60 to 70 lap window will open up, and a 2-tyre pit stop, 2-tyre change pit stop is compulsory in that 10-lap period, 60 to 70, and it must be on a green lap, a green flag lap, racing not under a caution.
So it will be interesting to see what happens now. We saw the last round of pit stops led by Waihoon. He came in early, but he had a very specific tactic for 2 tyres. So what will he do? And there's almost been a touch.
Oh, they have. They have. They've touched and the window is open, and the BP Car Care team and the Pennzoil team are in the pit lane. George Elliott now currently leads this race at ahead of Jimmy Ellis. What a great one. Let's go down to the pits and have a look. There's Terry Waihoon on screen. The team over the wall. They get that car jacked up. The tyres are out. And the rattle gun's working overtime. The spare tyres come on, the new tyre. Those wheel nuts are actually glued on. There's Marshall Brewer's team in the corner as well. More fuel is actually being put in the car, so a good tactic. And this team are going for 4 tyres, Nathan. Yeah, well, that's what I thought he might do. And you might find that Kim will take that tactical advantage. Brewer's gone out. Brewer has gone out 27 seconds.
And Jimmy Ellis has also come in. He was being shown in 2nd place. And now 36 seconds stop for Waihoon. And now Neville Lance comes in and is delayed, actually, as Waihoon exits right in front of him. There goes the BP Car Care entry past the car of Jimmy Ellis, which is still in pit road.
Good stop for Jimmy Ellis there. There's Neville Lance, the King Coil Auto Pro 14 Ford Thunderbird. And George Elliott has also come into pit lane, but Terry Waihoon and the BP Car Care team have worked tactics out. They've gone for 4 tyres and taken on a whole lot of fuel this time, Nathan. That is a great tactic. It certainly is, and as you see how later on in the race, whether it works into Marshall's hands, only taking those 2 tyres, which is all you had to do, with about 20-odd laps to go, you know, 25 laps to go, it could be very interesting. Drama obviously there for Neville Lance of the King Coil Auto Pro team. They're having troubles getting that rear tyre off, And finally it's come off and the spare wheel goes on. So Terry Wyhoon is well out in front there. Currently though, Kim Jane leads the race, but he still has to come in and take on 2 tyres.
But he leads by almost a lap. He's about to put a lap on the second place man, Ellis.
We talk about pit stops taking 10 or 15 or 20 seconds to do 2 tyres. Obviously it doesn't take that long. It might take 10 seconds or 12 seconds.
His tyres yet. So you'll find Kim will most certainly only take on 2 tyres because he made that 4 tyre change earlier, which was very smart. So we'll soon see very shortly. Marshall has a quite comfortable lead over Terry there, and as I said before, that might change again later in the race.
Gene Cook now out with the Shell Helix 41 Ford Thunderbird, and great to see Shell Helix on board with him this year from this race on. Here comes Kim Jane, the 27 Bob Jane T-Mart Chev Monte Carlo, heading down towards the John Sydney Racing pit area. And the crew are getting ready to jump over the wall. We'll have the stopwatch on this one. There they go. The Jackman's first over. That is Evil. And he jumps once, twice on that jack. It goes straight up. Wheels off. New wheels on. And one of the nuts has actually come off the wheel that time. The crew member's got to find it and put it on. They're going 4 tyres again.
And I don't think this is the right tactic, because at the moment Jane is still being shown as the leader, but Ellis is out there and has done his pit stop. He will take over the lead, and he is 5 seconds ahead of Brewer. Wouldn't it be something if Jimmy Ellis can go the distance and win this race?
Oh, they've had problems at the front wheel for Kim Jane. We're up to 35, 40 seconds for Kim Jane to head out of the pits in the 27 Chev Monte Carlo. So they went that extra 2 tyres, Nathan, and then had problems getting that one off the front. That's a bad pit stop for the team. Not their fault, but it's a bad stop.
It could hurt Kim, but it's just a matter of Kim settling back in now and not getting too frustrated about the whole thing, and keeping level-headed and get back into the race.
And Kim is resumed behind Wyhoon, so Wyhoon now has a gap over Jane, but the leader of the race is still Jimmy Ellis. So Ellis leads. Brewer now is in second place, but he's yet to pit. Wyhoon is third, and Kim Jane's been pushed back to fourth and is being shown as a lap down and on our race leader.
Well, a very, very interesting Pontiac Grand Prix. And Bob Middleton heads out in the White Line Transport Caterpillar Chev Monte Carlo. There's Daryl Kuhn on screen, his under finance team working overtime there. They're going the inside tyre line first. That's an interesting move indeed. But there is Terry Wyhoon on screen, and this race
will help Jimmy Ellis. He's a good guy. He needs help. And Nathan, what a performance by them.
It is, and even Craig Smith and the Melbourne Storm rugby team, he's actually down there too, giving them a hand, which is fantastic.
He was the guy lifting the car.
Yeah, absolutely. No jack needed.
There is debris on the racetrack, we're being told by race control, and we have caution on the racetrack. Any advantage that anyone got from tactics and working it all out has just been evaporated. And let's go. We are getting down to a very exciting race here. Jimmy Ellis currently leads ahead of Marshall Brewer, Terry Wyhoon, Kim Jane and George Elliott in the 55. We've only got about 50. Well, drama on the racetrack, still under caution because Terry Wyhoon has come down to pit lane. Peter Quattro.
Yes, Gerald, I've spoken to Terry's wife, Sue, and crew chief. Apparently a clutch. Terry's lost a clutch. We can see some smoke coming from under the car, and obviously it doesn't look pretty healthy at all. The guys are spraying it with some sort of, well, almost looks like Coca-Cola, to be honest, but very interesting times indeed for Terry Wyhoon, winner of last round.
I've got no doubt it would be Schweppes Essence on that one, Phil.
No, it is Coca-Cola. If you're wondering why you actually spray Coca-Cola on a worn-out clutch, what it actually does is it gives you a little bit of slip to get the car going, and then it seals. So there's more than one use for a Coca-Cola.
There you go. BP Car Care 25 Ford Thunderbird. Terry Wyhoon heads out of pit lane. What a shame he's got a problem with the clutch, because he was really running exceptionally well today and led for many laps here. We're getting ready to go racing, and lights are out on the pace car. Wyhoon is not that much further ahead of the pace car. He's probably about a quarter of the racetrack, and so he'll have to hurry up if he can around to catch the back of the field to be up to speed by the time they go racing again. There's our race leader, Jimmy Ellis, currently on screen. Just behind him is on the lead lap. Well, hang on a second, we're jostling around. George Elliott might be a lap down. He is. He's gone down to the front of that inside row. That means he is a lap down. Rodney James now going in front of him saying, get back, son, I'm actually in front of you. And this is an interesting one. I actually, looking at it, Rodney Jane's about 3 laps down, so I think George Elliott actually should be in front of him. Too late now, boys, because we are going racing at the Goodyear Thunderdome, and Elliott looks for the inside line of Rodney Jane. Marshall Brewer goes around the outside of Jimmy Ellis.
And Jimmy Ellis, our race leader, must be thinking to himself, I had that gap, and if only I hadn't have got that yellow flag. Brewer has a look around the outside, but now he's got the car of the double 5 car of George Elliott getting all sideways underneath him. Lance goes past. The only 4 cars. So can Ellis hold on? He's only got 10 laps to go after the one he's on to take his first victory in NASCAR racing.
Now, the great thing for Ellis is that Elliott is right on his tail. He is a lap down, and he is just in front, or holding back Neville Lance and everyone else. He's running at their same speed, but it's giving Ellis just that little bit of breathing space. Now, the guy has won world championships in motocross. He's not the sort of guy that would panic in a situation like this. I think we just might see a new winner in the winner's circle today.
And you know George Elliott better than most people, Gerald McDornan. What will he do? Will he root for the underdog and try and run a blocker for Ellis?
Well, no, George Elliott is a gentleman racer, and if he thinks he should be out of the way, he'll get out of the way. Here comes Neville Lance, and Lance has some power. We are being told Lance is 2 laps down with that Auto Pro car. So, in fact, Kim Jane is currently in 2nd spot, and so Ellis has 2 people that can help him out with Elliott and Neville Lance.
But here comes Jane. How many times have we said that the Bob Jane teammates car has had a touch from Lance, and Jane's been caught up in it and has done a tyre. The left front smoking on the Kim Jane car, and that was a disaster averted by Jane, because how that tyre stayed up and how he kept the car out of the wall, I'll never know.
Well, there is drama, and the 27 car heads into the pits. The 02 car might have ended its day. There's smoke all around the Goodyear Thunderdome. And what a drama here, and that will give us Marshall Brewer into the lead of the NASCAR 90 here at the Goodyear Thunderdome. Marshall Brewer in the Pennzoil Chev Monte Carlo, now coming round the inside of George Elliott and up down the back straight. What a day we're having here, Phil Brannigan.
There's the bonnet up on the inset. Looks like Jane's day is over. Something has gone, and yellow flag on the speedway. After that hit, Gerald McDornan, there was bound to be some debris on the speedway. The officials have found it and we've gone to yellow.
You never know until the last lap, do you?
You actually took the words right out of my mouth. You were pretty confident at that stage, no doubt.
We were looking pretty good. You know, it's just one of those things. What can you do? It's, you know, everyone's running as hard as they can. Everyone's close, taking the air off the back of their cars. They're getting a little loose. That sort of thing in slot.
Monte Carlo ahead of the 25 BP Car Care car. Terry Waihoon. George Elliott sits in 3rd. Gene Cook in 4th in the Shell Helix car. And Jimmy Ellis with a show here as we go racing yet again. Phil Brannigan, this has been a terrific race, and we might have a first-time winner in NASCAR. Oh, Waihoon's on a charge, but Brewer could win his first NASCAR, and what a great comeback it could be for George Elliott. Waihoon's gone. Waihoon's gone. Clutch is gone.
Yes, we saw that problem earlier in the pitch with Peter Quattro actually putting coke on the clutch, and now it's down to a straight 3-lap fight between Marshall J. Brewer out front in the Pennzoil number 8 Chev, and right behind him there's the double 5 car of George Elliott. Can George make such a comeback to get on the top step of the podium?
Oh, well, George has got a whole lot of corner speed. It appears as though on the straights, though, Brewer has the advantage, but watch the Lockheed's Hotel Chev Monte Carlo as they head up the back straight, the Pettis suspension back straight. Watch him in the turns here. He makes up this gap, and he's on the tail of the Pennzoil number 8 Monte Carlo of Marshall Brewer. White flag is waving. We're on our last lap. Will Brewer go to victory lane for the first time here at the NASCAR 90 in the American stock car category, or will Elliott get it? They're running bumper to bumper here at the Goodyear Thunderdome. Neville Lance is trying to give them all a hand along. He's 1 lap down, but it looks as though Marshall Brewer and the Pennzoil team might have it this time here. Well, this has been a great race, and a first-time winner comes out of 4 onto the dogleg. Marshall Brewer, Elsa Brewer, the team go crazy. It is Marshall Brewer takes a win ahead of George Elliott. The team are ecstatic. Terry Waihoon finishes in 5th spot. Neville Lance and Gene Cook round out the top 5. What a great race, Phil Brannigan.
Well, he did everything he could have done in the race. He won the race. He's got damage on the front of the Pennzoil car. I don't think he cares about it.
Top 10 here at the Goodyear Thunderdome after the NASCAR 90 here. The Pennzoil Chef Monte Carlo of Marshall Brewer takes the maiden NASCAR. Great, unfortunately, couldn't win. Came in 6th spot.
I think, as everybody knows, I've been feeling like a bit of a dill. But to win today, it's just absolutely marvellous. And congratulations to the crew and our sponsors for putting up with us. And it's great to be able to pay something back to them.
Well, congratulations to Marshall Brewer and the Pennzoil team for picking up their maiden win in NASCAR in round 4 of the 98-99 season. Next weekend, we're back.